You say so. Come on, it's showtime.
Your Face Sounds Familiar starts Saturday at 7:30 on ITV.
Three dads show what they do to make their happy families tonight at 9. But now on ITV, Tonight investigates the before and after of beauty therapies and shows in graphic detail what can happen when things go wrong.
Tonight, how far would you go to look good?
Spent quite a lot of money on fillers and Botox. Probably all in all, in the last 10 years, I'd probably say about 40 grand on my face.
But what happens when beauty treatments backfire?
It was life-threatening. They told me that I could have been blinded, it could have affected my brain. I was horrified. I just thought, how? And I thought this filler was meant to be safe.
Good evening and welcome to the Tonight programme. Britain's £15 billion beauty industry is booming. From nail bars to skincare treatments to cosmetic surgery, it seems more and more women and men are spending money on their appearance. One of the biggest growth areas in recent years has been in Botox and dermal fillers used to iron out wrinkles. But just how safe are these treatments? Tonight, Fiona Foster investigates the true cost of beauty.
Looking good is important, so we're told. If you look good, then the chances are you'll feel good too. So perhaps it's not surprising that the economic downturn isn't preventing us from spending more time and money than ever on our appearance.
I spend all my money on my hair and my nails. I won't go out the house without my hair extensions in.
So I have a full salon facial. And I know I feel much better once I've had it. Because of all the celebrities in magazines, all the film stars, TV stars, the way that they look is immaculate and you want to look like them.
It makes me feel confident with getting my hair done and pamper myself.
In the daytime, I really don't mind. I'm quite happy, you know, stick a bit of lip gloss on. If it's a planned night out, it's totally different. I've got to have the false eyelashes on. I've got to have the big hair.
If I can look as young as I can, for as long as I can, people tend to think that you are more able-bodied, you're more equipped to deal with certain situations. They don't sort of write you off as readily and as easily.
But for many, it doesn't stop at a new hairdo or a manicure. The cosmetic procedures industry has grown a staggering 300% in just 5 years. And for a lot of women, and some men, anti-wrinkle treatments like Botox and dermal fillers have become almost routine.
If it becomes such a normal thing to do that your mum's best friend or your next door neighbour has just popped down, had a bit of a filler and feels really good about herself, it's happening down at your hairdresser's in the back room, and it's something that everybody's doing, and hey, makes us feel a bit better about ourselves. Why not? It's just like getting a new lipstick or a mascara, except it isn't.
Having something injected into your face comes with serious risks. But as the law stands, dermal fillers are almost entirely unregulated. Anyone can buy and administer them. A recent government report described this as a crisis waiting to happen.
These are medical treatments, and I think we've had a decade where there's been increase in popularity but trivialisation of these procedures, so that people have forgotten that there are significant risks associated with this as well as the benefits that they're seeking. So you can get areas of skin that die on the lip, on the nose, between the eyebrows, and there are even a few cases of blindness, not because the filler was injected into the eye, but because it was injected somewhere distant from the eye, but all of these things the blood supply connects up.
Laura Alicia Summers is an events manager from London and a former model. Looking good is important to her.
Spent quite a lot of money on fillers and Botox. Probably all in all, in the last 10 years, I'd probably say about 40 grams on my face.
Laura says she started trying to change her appearance after being bullied at school. She's happy with her new look, but not every treatment she's had has been a success. 2 years ago, Laura decided on the spur of the moment to have a temporary filler injected into her lip at a beauty trade fair.
So I'll go on there and it's half price, well, better than half price, which attracted me even more. And I thought, what could go wrong? Silly little did I know that everything could go wrong.
It cost just £200, but in less than an hour, Laura began to suffer a severe allergic reaction.
Like, the pain was ridiculous. It was like somebody was like in my lip, like punching outwards. And my friend took me to A&E. They said they didn't want to do anything. They said, you know, let the swelling go down, let the bruising come out, put cold compresses on. They gave me some anti-inflammatories and they just sent me home. I just didn't know, like, if I had an infection or if it was just swelling or what I was going to be left with, but it was that bad.
It took 3 months for Laura's lip to go back to normal.
I put it down to me being stupid, not researching it properly. The place that I got it done at wasn't the best place. And I think in the future, I'm using that as a lesson.
I would say that now approximately 10% of the enquiries that we receive relate to problems following dermal fillers.
Solicitor Michael Saul represents clients all over the country in cosmetic negligence cases. He's seen a big increase in people coming to him after dermal filler treatments that have gone wrong.
They may not have been able to leave the house for weeks. They're often unable to go back to work and require prolonged periods off work, and in some cases don't return to work. So it has a crushing effect. It affects obviously their personal relations as well with their partners. It's a disastrous scenario.
Michael Saul believes there are two problems: too many untrained practitioners and a more casual public attitude towards cosmetic procedures.
It's trivialised now, cosmetic surgery. People regard it as just an extension of a trip to the beauticians. The marketing machines that some of the providers have are so lavish. It's very difficult, unless you have insider knowledge of how the industry operates, to recognise the pitfalls and the dangers.
There are over 100 different fillers on the market. Some last just a few months, others are permanent. For many in the industry, it's the permanent fillers that are causing the most concern.
This clinic doesn't endorse the use of permanent fillers.
No.
Why have you taken that decision?
I'm sure there are lots of people that have had them and are quite happy with them, but there are also a lot of people that have had disasters. We've had patients that have had permanent filler in the nose to mouth line and had terrible scarring from it, and they have years and years of treatment after to try to get rid of the scarring, to have the filler removed. So I've seen some pretty awful things, so for us it's an absolute no-no.
35-year-old Jo Sanford is a case in point. When she wanted permanent fillers in her cheeks, Leslie's clinic said no. So Jo went elsewhere and paid £500 to get it done. Initially, everything was fine, but then the filler became infected on one side of Jo's face.
I had fillers because I'm not a very secure person. I've got really sort of low self-esteem and I'm not very confident. Inside, I get really nervous and I'm just not happy with the way I look.
Why did you decide to choose permanent fillers?
I decided to have permanent fillers because I thought in the long run it would be a lot cheaper.
So I advised her against it. She went away to think about it. And then one morning, really about 7 o'clock one morning, my phone started to beep. And I looked and there was this awful, awful picture of Jo with her eye, one eye almost closed and this huge swelling, and saying, "Can you help me? I don't know what to do."
Jo's husband rushed her to A&E.
The filler it made my face, I ballooned. It was just horrible, it was really hard to touch, I couldn't open my eye, and it was life-threatening. They told me that I could have been blinded, it could have affected my brain. So they quickly put me on intravenous antibiotics straight away, and then the following day I had a scan, and the scan showed that the filler had actually shattered and migrated
So the filler had migrated towards your brain then?
Yeah, it had, yeah.
The whole thing must have been absolutely terrifying.
It was. I was horrified. I just thought, how? And I thought this filler was meant to be safe.
And she was in hospital for about 2 or 3 days. And all the time she's sending me pictures. And to be honest with you, I've never seen anything so awful. It was terrifying.
Doctors successfully removed the infected filler, but Jo was left with shattered filler still in the other cheek. She turned to Leslie's clinic for help in getting that removed and the damage repaired. So far, it's taken 2 years and several £1,000s to put right.
I've had 2 attempts of fat transfer to cover the indentations because it has left me quite a lot of scarring. I mean, I just don't understand how a filler that only took, about 20 minutes to insert has now cost me like 2 years of my life. And, so much money. And I still don't know whether, I'm going to look all right at the end of this.
The filler Jo had been injected with, bioalchemid, has since been taken off the market. But many fillers are safe as long as they're correctly administered.
Right, so we have this charming young lady who's getting married in 2 months, is that correct?
Yes.
And so she needs nothing much, really, but she does have a slight hollowness here, so we're going to put a bit of filler in this area here, and she would like to have her cheekbone slightly enhanced here. All right?
Is it going to hurt?
No.
Okay.
Very little. No, it'll be fine.
This procedure cost £600 and took just 10 minutes to perform.
And what is in this filler then? What's going to go into Becky's face?
So this hyaluronic acid is a substance which we have naturally in our tissue, in our connective tissue. It's synthetic, but it does exist in tissue, so it's perfectly absorbed. It can last quite a long time in cheekbones, for example, or in the nasolabial folds. It'll last a bit less, about 3 to 6 months in the lips. Right? So you're going to feel a slight pinprick somewhere just above my finger here. Okay?
Ooh, feels weird.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be painful.
When you say it feels weird, Becky, what do
You
you
can
mean?
just feel it inside. It's not painful at all. You can just feel something happening.
Now, Peter, you're obviously a very experienced plastic surgeon with years of experience. Why is it so important that someone with medical training does this?
Well, there are several reasons for that. I mean, you have to obviously know what the chemistry of what you're using. You have to know anatomy. You have to know how the aging process works and where to put in the filler, and then you have to inject it in the right plane. And also, if anything does go wrong, you have to know how to deal with it.
So what do you think, Becky?
I'm really, really quite surprised and excited by the results. It really didn't hurt. And yes, it's going to develop over time, Peter was saying, so I look forward to seeing the full results in a couple of days' time.
But not everyone chooses to go to a reputable clinic. Some go abroad to cut costs. And in 2011, 20-year-old Claudia Adoratimi died after travelling to America to have fillers injected into her buttocks on the black market.
A talented dancer, it's reported she flew to Philadelphia because she believed to get famous, she needed to improve the way she looked.
It's a story sadly all too familiar to 46-year-old April Brown from Los Angeles. In 2004, April had the same procedure. What she didn't know was that she'd been injected with industrial silicone, and that it would eventually cost her her hands, lower legs, and almost her life. I spoke to April at her home by video link.
No, I knew she wasn't a medical professional. I did not know how much she was trained in it, and I also knew that it was on the black market. I never even thought that something could go wrong like that.
Tell me how the procedure happened.
I showed up at her house, and she directed me into her daughter's bedroom and told me to change clothes and put on the panties. And she had on gloves, she put a sheet down. Everything seemed to be very sterile. And there was this jar, and in my mind, it looks like silicone. And she just started the process of injecting me, and it was very painful.
April paid to have the procedure done twice, but later began to suffer agonizing pains.
But I was so embarrassed to call my doctor and tell her that I allowed someone to inject something in my body, and now I'm having complications.
After 5 years of pain, April finally sought proper medical help. At first, her case baffled doctors who didn't know how to remove the silicone. Eventually, they decided to amputate her buttocks, but while in hospital, April caught an infection.
And they had kind of put me in a induced coma for a couple of months. But when I came out, that's when I found out that my hands and my feet were turning gangrene. In my mind, I knew it was over because they were so hard, like a dead person's body. So I knew that they didn't have any life in them.
Today, April lives with the help of a carer. But it's not only backstreet black market practitioners like April's that people should be wary of. Some people now buy seemingly reputable dermal fillers online and self-administer them, putting both their looks and their health at risk.
After doing a simple web search, we found a dozen or so sites where it's possible to buy both temporary and permanent fillers at a fraction of the price you'd pay to have the procedure done at a reputable clinic.
We placed an order for a permanent filler with an American website called Juveni, and the very next day our product arrived. It had been posted from within the UK. The package contained a bright pink box, a glossy leaflet, and 3 full syringes of permanent filler, all for just £200.
Now, this particular filler has not been given the seal of approval by American or UK regulators. In fact, the UK authorities are very concerned about it because it contains an anaesthetic called lidocaine, which in injectable form, like this, is a prescription-only medicine here. Now, because of this, and because of the fact that it hasn't been through the necessary stringent tests demanded by the UK regulator, it's considered to be an unlicensed medicine, which means that this company should not be selling it to us. They're breaking UK law by doing so.
I took our filler back to the Harley Street clinic I'd visited earlier, where it was examined by leading cosmetic surgeon Peter Cumbo.
As someone who knows about this stuff, what do you make of that?
I mean, I've never heard of this filler. There's no guarantee as to what's inside. There seems to be a permanent filler with lidocaine, which is a prescription drug. The pure quantity is a lot of product, which could cause a lot of damage.
And even you, as someone who uses fillers all the time, that you've no idea what's in there.
We've no idea. There's nothing on the packaging, and the packaging is wrong. It should be a sterile blister with tags for traceability, which we've seen here, which are then put onto the patient file, and this is sealed off in a sterile fashion.
So if something should go wrong, you've nowhere to go.
There's no one to turn to. There could be bacterial contamination. We know nothing about it, so it would be extremely dangerous to use this.
Yet it would seem that many people are happy to buy fillers from websites like this one. 39-year-old Terence Hughes bought the same permanent filler as we did back in 2011, as it was cheaper than going to a clinic. He ended up in pain and in hospital.
What made you choose Juveni over other products?
It's a very user-friendly site. It's very accessible. You can go on it and you don't need a prescription. It's aimed at people to do themselves. There's videos so you can see literally how to put the fillers in. You don't have to sign a disclaimer, and it's literally you send the money and they'll send it to you.
After experiencing great results from his first purchase, Terence decided to buy more. So he placed another order, but this time his face quickly became inflamed.
But it felt like a lump under my skin that actually felt hard, whereas the first one felt soft and pliable. And then I went to bed and I woke up about 2 hours later very hot, and my face felt swollen, went back to sleep, woke up the next morning and my face was very swollen and I couldn't see and I had trouble breathing, and I went to see my doctor and he took one look at me and sent me straight to hospital.
Terence had a bacterial infection which was treated with antibiotics. But it took 2 years for his cheeks to return to normal.
So I'm very fortunate that my body was able to deal with such a toxic substance, but this company should be held accountable for it.
So what is the UK regulator doing about websites like this one?
We have taken down the UK part of the operation, so the website in the UK has been taken down. The website in the United States, I understand, is still operating, but the United States is not within UK's jurisdiction.
So your hands are tied to some extent?
Well, our hands aren't tied. In fact, that we have been able to block access from the UK.
On their website, their US website, they openly boast that they have UK-based warehouses full of stock, ready to ship it to you. How much of a worry is that?
We would be investigating and getting to the bottom of this, and if necessary, those people would face a criminal prosecution through the criminal courts.
The owners of the Juveni website didn't respond to our request for a statement. Of course, dermal fillers and Botox can transform people's lives. Both are used in a medical capacity by the NHS. Karen Krul from Lincolnshire never considered using Botox until she suffered horrific burns in a freak accident at her allotment.
My son was trying to burn rubbish from the incinerator. A spark just literally came off, and that was it. It lit me up like a fireball.
Karen was rushed to hospital with extensive burns to her face, neck and hands. She needed several skin grafts and was in the burns unit for a month. As the wounds began to heal, Karen was left with a constant painful itch.
It's not just an itch, it's a different type of itch. I would itch when I was awake, I would itch when I was asleep, I would draw blood. It was a huge thing. I couldn't go back to work because I wasn't sleeping. Of course, it kept me awake. It used to get me down. I'd get quite depressed about it.
After several traditional remedies failed to cure the itch, Karen's surgeon, Peter Brooks, hit upon the idea of using Botox. The experiment was a world first.
People who've had bad burn injuries where their skin's been damaged don't have sweat glands anymore. And I just wondered whether the signalling to make people sweat was actually triggering the itch. And if people who have problems with over-sweating are treated using Botox to actually reduce the amount of sweat they produce, and we had a go, and I think within 48 hours her itch had completely disappeared.
Treatments like these have the power to transform lives, for better or worse. The Department of Health says it's now working on recommendations to regulate dermal fillers more thoroughly. That can't come soon enough for many, as both the demand for fillers and their associated risks continue to rise.
I'm 26 years of age, but I will admit I had my first filler injection when I was 20.
I don't think I'll ever fully recover. I can't believe how much money I've spent on trying to rebuild my face again.
I will forever refuse to go down the injections, the Botox, the actual surgical procedures and be happy. And if that means eventually my face will look, aged, then that's fine.
I will never get my top lip done again, but I will have other things done because at the end of the day, I'm a perfectionist, always got to strive for perfection.
For more information on which dermal fillers have been classified as safe to use, please visit our website at itv.com/tonight. Until next time, though, good evening and thanks for watching. Coming up next week, how safe is your kitchen? We investigate alarming evidence of dangerous failings in the product recall system, leaving hundreds of thousands of potentially lethal white goods sitting in homes across the country.
Debbie is in for a shock while Katie has big plans. Emmerdale next this Thursday night on ITV. At 8:30, Paul O'Grady meets the latest batch of residents at the Battersea Dog and Cats Home. And later, three fathers ponder just what it's like to be a dad in Happy Families tonight at 9.
Bring me a ring, for I'm longing to be